In the beginning, there was water. Not a god who spoke light into existence. Not a male creator imposing order on chaos. A vast primordial sea, and within it, everything that would ever exist. Her name was Nammu. She was not created. She simply was. From her came heaven and earth, and from their union, the rest of the divine family descended. The cosmos of ancient Sumer did not begin with a command. It began with a goddess. The Sumerian gods were not abstractions. They were beings with specific characters, specific domains, specific relationships with each other and with the human world. They had families. They had disputes. They made mistakes. And every major dimension of human experience had a divine counterpart. Nothing was outside the sacred. Whatever you were going through, joy, grief, desire, failure, creativity, death, there was a deity who knew that territory, who was already there. The Sumerian pantheon was vast, hundreds of gods and goddesses governing every aspect of existence. What follows are some of the most significant. Ninhursag, whose name means Lady of the Sacred Mountain, was one of the 4 principal creator deities of Sumer, alongside An, Enlil, and Enki. She was the great Earth Mother, the goddess of the stony ground and the wild places, of fertility and birth, and the nurturing of life. She gave form to living creatures. She was the divine midwife. Sumerian texts describe her as the mother of gods and humans alike. She appears in one of the oldest known myths of divine conflict and reconciliation. Enki, the god of wisdom and fresh water, ate the plants she had grown without her permission, and she cursed him with 8 illnesses, 1 for each plant. He fell gravely ill. The gods pleaded for his healing. Eventually, Ninhursag relented and created 8 healing deities, 1 for each illness, restoring him. It is a story about transgression, consequence, anger, and ultimately compassion, told through divine figures, but deeply, recognizably human in its emotional structure. Ereshkigal, whose name means Lady of the Great Earth, ruled the underworld, the land of no return. She was not evil. She was necessary. The underworld in Sumerian theology was not a place of punishment. It was simply where the dead went. And Ereshkigal was its queen. She was the goddess of grief, of loss, of the darkest human experiences. Having a goddess who ruled the dark places meant that the dark places were sacred. Grief was not a failure. Loss was not outside the divine order. There was a deity who knew that territory from the inside, who was its queen, and to whom you could direct your prayers when you were in the underworld of your own life. Nisaba, the goddess of writing, grain, and scribal knowledge. In a civilization where writing had just been invented and was becoming the foundation of administration, law, literature, and religious practice, the deity who presided over it was female. Nisaba was the divine scribe. She held the tablets of destiny. She was the patron of the Aduba, the tablet house, the school where scribes were trained, and her blessing was invoked at the beginning of written texts across centuries of Sumerian literature. The goddess of writing was female. In the world's first literate civilization, the connection between women, knowledge, and sacred authority was woven into the theological fabric of the culture. And the male gods, because this is a co-equal world, and that matters. And the god of heaven, the sky itself, remote, authoritative, the father of gods. His power was structural. He set the divine order in motion and presided over it. He rarely intervened directly. Enlil, the god of wind, storms, and the earth's surface. More actively powerful than An. It was Enlil who separated heaven from earth, who decreed the fates of nations, who could send the flood. In the Sumerian flood myth, it is Enlil who sends the deluge to destroy humanity because their noise disturbs his sleep. Not evil, but not reliably benevolent either. A force of nature in every sense. Enki, the god of wisdom, fresh water, magic, and craftsmanship. The most human of the great gods. Clever, creative, occasionally mischievous, genuinely devoted to humanity. In the same flood myth, it is Enki who warns the one righteous man and saves humanity from destruction. He is the divine trickster sage, the god who finds the way through, who uses knowledge to protect and create. What this pantheon collectively created was a cosmos of extraordinary psychological richness. You did not face the universe alone, and you did not face it against a single standard of perfection. You faced it within a divine community that included beings who understood failure, anger, grief, desire, and darkness, because the gods themselves experienced all of these things. Now the people who served these gods. Inanna, the supreme goddess of Sumer, goddess of love, war, justice, and political power, was introduced in episode 1. Her temple in Uruk, the Eanna, was one of the most important institutions in the ancient world. And it was within her cult that some of the most distinctive sacred roles in Sumerian religion were found. The temples of Sumer were not merely places of worship. They were the economic, administrative, and cultural centers of their cities. The Temple of Inanna in Uruk managed agricultural estates, employed craftspeople and administrators, housed schools, and controlled the distribution of goods across the city. To serve in the temple was to occupy one of the most important roles in Sumerian society. The En, the high priestess, held the most senior religious office in the temple hierarchy. She was appointed through a process understood as divine selection, identified by omens, confirmed by the gods. Once appointed, she lived within the temple complex, managed its extensive economic operations, performed the central ritual functions, and held a status comparable to a senior political figure. She was not simply a spiritual leader, she was a powerful institutional authority in her own right. Below the En, the temple employed a large and differentiated staff, male and female priests and priestesses, administrators, musicians, singers, weavers, cooks, and agricultural workers. The sacred and the practical were entirely integrated. The person managing the grain stores and the person singing the hymns were part of the same institution, serving the same divine purpose. And then the gala. The gala priests were male priests who served specifically in the cult of Inanna. Their role was to perform her laments, the sacred songs of grief and mourning central to Inanna's ritual worship, particularly connected to the death of her consort Tammuz and the annual cycle of death and return. What made the gala distinctive was how they performed this role. They sang in Emissal, a special dialect of Sumerian associated with women's speech and with the divine voice of Inanna herself. In taking up Emissal, the gala priests were crossing a recognized social and gender boundary in a specific, ritually sanctioned context. Sumerian texts refer to them with specific terminology that acknowledges their distinctiveness. They occupied a recognized position that was neither conventionally male nor female. The scholar Gwendolyn Like, in her work on gender in ancient Mesopotamia, documents the gala as occupying what she describes as a third gender category, people whose identity fell outside the conventional binary and who were not marginalized for this, but given a specific sacred function within the most important religious institution in the city. The scholar Gerald Cooper has similarly noted that Sumerian religious culture accommodated gender diversity within its sacred structures in ways that have no parallel in later monotheistic traditions. What the Sumerians built was a sacred world comprehensive enough for every human being and every human experience. Inclusion was not an afterthought. It was built into the structure of the divine itself.